When we were about to bow to heaven and earth at our wedding, my husband suddenly lifted my red bridal veil. Right in front of all the guests, he demanded I sign a concubine agreement. He wanted to give his white Moonlight a proper title. But when we got engaged, he swore he'd never take a concubine. The crowd watched with amusement, eager to see me humiliated. I clenched my teeth and pointed to a man in the crowd, elegant and handsome as jade. Lu Yun broke off our engagement and tried to force me into submission in front of everyone. Such disgraceful behavior. I don't want to marry him. Will you bow with me and take his place as my husband? Lu Yun's face turned deathly pale. The man smiled faintly, stepped forward, and said slowly, "All right, I'll marry you." The guests erupted in shock. Lu Yun gritted his teeth and snapped, "Helan Ci, you're the daughter of the Grand Preceptor, and yet you shamelessly switch husbands at the altar? This goes against all moral conduct." I scoffed. The Code of Ethics says, if the husband is not righteous, the wife may remarry. Besides, you and I haven't bowed to heaven and earth yet. We're not husband and wife. So today, I'll just borrow your Lu family residence to marry my true husband and complete the ceremony. You. Lu Yun pointed at me, his whole body trembling with rage. I tore off the red silk sash that symbolized the groom and tied it around the waist of the handsome man. After bowing to heaven and earth, I held his hand and led him into the bridal chamber. The crowd whispered and pointed, their eyes full of judgment and disdain. Only Lu Yun's white Moonlight, Lu Wanmian, hiding at the back of the crowd, had a smug, satisfied smile. Inside the bridal chamber, I stood by the door, listening for the crowd to disperse so I could take my dowry and return to the He family estate. But the man sat on the bed and started undressing, completely unbothered. When I turned around, I was greeted by smooth skin like jade and clearly defined muscles. From his waist down, my face burned with heat and I panicked. He smiled and asked, "Have you seen enough?" I quickly turned my head, fiddled with my hair and smoothed my dress, then forced myself to ask, "What do you think you're doing?" "It's the bridal chamber," he replied innocently, his deep eyes locked on mine. I cleared my throat and said seriously, "Thank you for helping me out today. I'll come thank you properly another day. Once the spectators outside are gone, you're free to leave." He suddenly stood up, walked up to me, and grabbed my hand, pressing it to his firm chest. His low voice was like a spell. "We bowed before all those people. Miss He, don't you think you should take responsibility for me?" I swallowed hard, forcing myself to resist the temptation of his good looks, and pushed him away. "I don't even know your name, your background, your family status. How am I supposed to take responsibility? Besides," I turned away and glanced at those perfect muscles out of the corner of my eye. "Besides, who just starts stripping the moment they enter the room?" He gave a slight nod, walked to the bed, and quickly dressed. Only then did I dare look at him properly. He wore a flowing green robe, his long hair tied with a jade crown, tall and graceful. No wonder I spotted him right away in the crowd. He really was extraordinarily handsome. He stood before me, clasped his hands in greeting, and said, "My name is Pei Yuheng. I'm the top scorer in the latest imperial exams, still unmarried. I used to be Lu Yun's classmate. I currently work in the Hanlin Academy." As Pei Yuheng spoke, I started doing the math. Top scorer? Even more talented than Lu Yun, he was only third place. The Hanlin Academy? That's a prestigious post. He might even outrank my father someday. So I patted his shoulder and said, "Don't worry, Lord Pei. I'll take responsibility for you." I brought Pei Yuheng back to the He family estate. We ran straight into Lu Yun. He must have come to speak to my father about what happened today, probably to twist the story in his favor. He looked at me with utter disgust and said coldly, "Lan Ci, you were completely out of line today. I've already explained everything to your father. If you apologize now, I'll forgive you for his sake. And why should I need your forgiveness? You used power to bully me and broke off our engagement without shame. If anyone should apologize and be punished, it's you." Lu Yun's expression froze. After a long pause, he said, It's normal for a man to have multiple wives and concubines. A good wife should be understanding and generous. Otherwise, people will call you jealous and petty. It won't reflect well on you or the He family. I narrowed my eyes, staring at him sharply. Did you forget? My mother, even with her frail health, worked herself to the bone selling tofu. The money she earned fed us and bought you the best writing supplies. You promised her that after you passed the exam, you'd marry me, that we'd be together for life. She died, and you broke your promise like it meant nothing. If I forgive you that easily, how would I face her in the afterlife? She died from exhaustion trying to support your studies. My engagement to Lu Yun had been arranged since we were kids. My mother was a concubine. The main wife disliked her and sent her away to a rural estate while my father was away. Only after leaving did my mother discover she was pregnant. She raised me by selling tofu. Lu Yun was our neighbor. On the day I was born, it was thanks to Madame Lu that both my mother and I survived. Later, both of Lu Yun's parents died. He lived in poverty, studying hard for the exams. My mother felt sorry for him and brought him food every day. Eventually, she became sick from overwork. Lu Yun swore at her deathbed that he'd love me for life and marry no one else. But after he went to the capital to take the imperial exams, he fell in love with Lu Wanmian, a well-known and talented lady in the city. Her family disapproved, and Lu Wanmian ended up marrying a general. 3 months ago, that general died in battle. The general's family blamed her for bringing bad luck and kicked her out. With nowhere to go, she turned back to Lu Yun. At that time, I had already been brought back to the Grand Preceptor's household by my grandmother and was happily preparing for the wedding. That day, Lu Wanmian showed up with Lu Yun's jade pendant. I've loved Brother Lu for years. If it weren't for my father's objections, I would have been his wife long ago. Miss He, please have mercy. I don't need the title of wife, just let me stay with him, even as a concubine. That was the first time I saw someone beg to be a concubine. Looking at her tear-stained, pitiful face, I flatly refused. If Lu Yun really wanted to marry you, why would he make you come plead with me yourself? If he hasn't brought it up, it means he has no intention of doing so. Lu Wanmian left in tears and never came back. I thought the matter was settled, but I underestimated Lu Yun. He believed that since I grew up in the countryside, my father wouldn't value me as much as his promising future son-in-law. But he miscalculated one thing. I just pointed at random and got myself a husband even better than him. 3. Lu Yun turned red with anger at my rebuke. Lan Si, if you don't admit your fault, there'll be no way to end this peacefully. What do you mean, no way to end it? Pei Yuheng, standing beside me, spoke in a low, calm voice. Lu Yun's face stiffened. Brother Pei, surely you're not serious about marrying her? She's coarse and boring. In my eyes, Miss He is resilient, clever, and wise. She is the perfect choice for a wife. You. Lu Yun was so furious he couldn't speak. I stepped forward and said, Lu Yun, today I'm cutting all ties with you. My mother paid for your education. Return every coin without a single cent missing. From now on, we're strangers. With that, I didn't give Lu Yun a chance to speak. I walked into the He residence with Pei Yuheng. Inside, my father was pacing angrily in front of the main hall. My stepmother was cursing me through gritted teeth. The moment he saw me, my father strode over, raised his hand, and aimed a loud slap at me. I shut my eyes tightly, but the pain I expected didn't come. When I opened my eyes, I saw Pei Yuheng standing in front of me, shielding me. Father looked momentarily stunned. With a loud thud, Pei Yuheng knelt before my father. Father-in-law, today's incident is my fault. If you're angry, then punish me. This has nothing to do with Lan Si. What kind of scoundrel dares involve himself with the Grand Tutor's family? My stepmother scolded sharply. Pei Yuheng responded calmly and respectfully. My name is Pei Yuheng. I serve at the Hanlin Academy. I've long admired Miss He. Today, we've already bowed to each other and are officially married. I admit it was sudden, but I promise to formally deliver the 3 letters and 6 rites later. I humbly asked the Grand Tutor to grant us his blessing. I looked at Pei Yuheng. Every word was earnest and flawless, as if he had rehearsed it in advance. No wonder he was the top scholar. Father's expression lit up as he bent down to help him up. Pei Yuheng, you're the newly appointed top scholar, Pei Yuheng. Thanks to His Majesty's favor, I am indeed Pei Yuheng. Father's eyes were full of admiration. I tried hard to suppress the corners of my mouth from lifting as I exchanged a glance with Pei Yuheng. This man really had it all under control. Seeing things turn against her, my stepmother quickly added fuel to the fire. So, what if he's the top scholar? Thanks to He Lan Ci, the He family's reputation is in ruins. How can I find a proper match for my daughter now? She even wiped away 2 fake tears and sobbed, "Husband, if you don't punish her, outsiders will say our family has no morals. And how do you think she should be punished?" Father asked. My stepmother clenched her teeth and glared at me with cold, sharp eyes. According to family rules, 30 strikes and expulsion from the house. She's now part of the Pei family, Pei Yuheng said firmly. Then let me take the punishment in her place.
4.
Just as I was about to object, grandmother hobbled in with her cane. Isn't it already chaotic enough today? It was supposed to be a good day. Must there be blood? Father hurried forward to help her sit. Mother, it's my fault for failing to teach my daughter well. I've made you worry. Grandmother shot him a glance. Lan Ci was already 16 when she returned to us. When have you ever taught her anything? A grand tutor's daughter, marrying a poor scholar, is already a step down. That Lu Yun clearly bullied Lan Ci because she had no one to back her up. He even tried to force her to sign a concubine contract before the marriage. That is not the act of a gentleman. You too are her parents, yet instead of standing up for your daughter, you want to hit her and kick her out of the house? Our He family is a family of scholars and integrity. When have we ever treated our own flesh and blood so harshly? Grandmother was breathing heavily as she looked at my stepmother, who didn't dare say a word. Father asked respectfully, "Then what does mother suggest?" "I think this top scholar is much more reliable than Lu Yun. Go, send someone to bring back Lan Ci's dowry. Every last item, not even a pair of chopsticks, is to be left behind. Since you've already bowed to each other, Lan Ci, let me ask, was this marriage of your own will?" "Yes, grandmother. I married him willingly."
Good.
Since this matter has already caused enough of a stir, there's no need for a lavish wedding. Have Pei Lang's parents visit us another day. Grandmother, my parents have both passed away. There was a flicker of emotion in grandmother's stern expression. Then all the more reason to skip the formalities. If you two are truly of one heart, I shall grant my blessing and officially betroth Lan Ci to you today. Pei Yuheng solemnly kowtowed to grandmother, then again to my father. "Thank you, grandmother. Thank you, father-in-law." He stood up and took my hand, and suddenly, my heart was pounding wildly. I looked at grandmother. She waved at me. "Lan Ci, go with your husband. I'll see you two off." I walked over and helped her out. She whispered softly in my ear, "I'm old now, and I can't protect you for much longer. If you stay here, who knows what schemes your stepmother will come up with. I can see that Pei Lang is a thoughtful and decent man. What's done is done. Live your life well with him." "I understand, grandmother." And just like that, I became Pei Yuheng's wife.
5.
The moment I stepped into the Pei residence, grandmother sent over even more of my dowry. The old maidservant said to me, "The madam said a woman can go without a husband's affection, but never without her own money. These were secretly prepared for you." My nose tingled with emotion. "Please thank grandmother for me, Nanny." 80 loads of dowry filled the small Pei courtyard to the brim. After I finally finished organizing it all, my maid Chun Tao came to pass a message. Pei Yuheng was waiting in the bedroom. He had something to say to me. Originally, I hadn't planned on being a real couple with him. I thought we'd wait until the situation calmed down, then find another way out. But for some reason, Chun Tao had moved all my belongings into Pei Yuheng's room. The moment I pushed the door open, Pei Yuheng was standing beside the bed. He seemed to have just bathed, his eyes glinting with moisture as he looked at me. His night robe wasn't fully tied, exposing a large portion of his chest, as if he was intentionally trying to seduce me with his appearance. My face flushed. I instinctively tried to leave, muttering to myself, what kind of message did Chun Tao deliver? Before I could move, Pei Yuheng grabbed my wrist. Where is Madam going? The heat from his hand traveled from my face all the way to the tips of my ears. Still not used to being called Madam, I stammered. I didn't mean to disturb your rest. Pei Yuheng chuckled softly. How could you be a disturbance? You've worked hard all day. I've already had Chun Tao draw a bath for you. Go relax and rest early. Then he lowered his head and pressed a gentle kiss to the back of my hand. The faint tickle seemed to brush right against my heart. This was our first real encounter. Why did Pei Yuheng already seem so naturally in character? 6. After leaving the purification room, I hesitantly stepped into the bedroom. Pei Yuheng was already asleep. I tiptoed over and crawled into bed. The moment I pulled the blanket over me, I let out a soft sigh. Pei Yuheng's eyes were closed, his delicate features relaxed and peaceful like a serene painting. His breathing was light and even. As I gradually let down my guard and was about to fall asleep, his arms slid over and wrapped around me. His ink-black eyes stared at me, a faint smile on his lips. Wife, going to sleep already? The tips of my ears burned again. I didn't dare meet his eyes. My gaze dropped, his sexy Adam's apple, his defined collarbone, the loose robe revealing glimpses of his toned chest. Before I knew it, a wave of embarrassment hit me. I swallowed hard and said, if I'm not sleeping, what else would I be doing? He turned his body toward me, and the candlelight cast a soft glow on the side of his face that had been struck by my father. It was still faintly red. In his eyes, the starlight looked scattered and broken. He took my hand and pressed it gently to his cheek. Wife, aren't you going to feel sorry for me? You said you'd take responsibility. Before I could react, he leaned in, and his robe completely fell open. His eyes looked like a pool of deep ink, dark, intense, and impossible to escape from. The moment his burning chest pressed against me, I trembled all over. He whispered softly in my ear, Wife, shall we consummate our marriage? My throat tightened, and I placed my hand on his chest. If you insist, I won't say no. 7. The next morning, I woke up sore all over. Chun Tao told me that Pei Yuheng had gone to court early and, before leaving, asked her to keep breakfast warm. The young master said, Miss has had a hard time. She must eat while it's hot. In an instant, indecent scenes flooded my mind, and my face burned with heat. I awkwardly tugged at the corners of my mouth. He's quite considerate. Chun Tao didn't catch the meaning behind my words. Innocently, she said, the young master is a good man. But miss, there are nasty rumors going around, saying you're unfaithful, falling for every man you meet. You shouldn't go out for now. I straightened my back. Why shouldn't I go out? I will. It's clearly the men who are at fault, yet it's always the women who get blamed. I want to see exactly who's twisting the truth. After getting dressed and putting on makeup, Chun Tao and I left the house. I never had a great reputation in the capital to begin with. I was raised in the countryside. If not for my grandmother's return to the village to pay respects to our ancestors and her unwillingness to let the He family's bloodline be lost, I'd never have come to the capital. I wasn't well educated, knew little about music, chess, calligraphy, or painting. Being gossiped about was routine. At the end of the street, a few women were whispering among themselves. The more they talked, the louder they got. Every word entered my ears clearly. How did the Grand Preceptor raise such a daughter? Shameless. She just picked a man and dragged him straight to the bridal chamber. She's really lucky, randomly pointed, and landed on the top scholar. How could the top scholar be interested in her? Maybe she has some hidden talent. I shook my head repeatedly. What talent could I possibly have? The one with talent was Pei Yuheng. Chun Tao clenched her fists angrily, wanting to argue with them. I quickly stopped her. Just then, A commotion broke out behind us, a man and a woman in a struggle. The owner of the cosmetic shop was in tears. "Boss Shin, please give me a few more days. My father is sick and the treatment cost a lot of silver. My younger brother is still a child. I don't care. Stop giving me excuses. If you can't pay the rent today, get out." He swung his arm, and rouge and powder scattered across the counter, falling all over the floor. Dust danced in the air, carrying a faint, unique fragrance. She was dressed plainly and looked pale, clearly someone who had lived a hard life. I stepped forward, pulled out my money pouch, and said to Boss Shin, "How much does she owe you? I'll pay it." "Really? Really?"
8.
The crowd that had gathered to watch slowly dispersed. The cosmetic shop owner knelt in front of me with tears streaming down her face. "Miss, I can never repay your great kindness. My name is Nianxiu." I helped her up. "You can repay me. I have a shop, and the rouge you make is quite good. How about we do business together?" I had come out today to take a look at the shop my grandmother had given me, thinking I might start a business. After all, Pei Yuheng and I weren't exactly a proper married couple. I couldn't live under someone else's roof forever. Her eyes sparkled as she looked at me.
Yes.
"Whatever Miss wants me to do, I'll do it." In just 7 days, we finished setting up the cosmetic shop and opened it on an auspicious day. Business, however, was slow. The only visitor we had was the steward from the He family. He came to deliver a message from my father. "The master advises you to close the shop as soon as possible. A proper lady shouldn't show her face in public. If you persist, don't blame him for disowning you." I toyed with the brocade box in my hand and replied casually, "He never treated me like his daughter to begin with." The steward's face turned red, then pale. It was Pei Yuheng who had come to pick me up and smooth things over with his usual gentle grace. "Please tell my father-in-law that I've been too busy with official duties to keep my wife company. It was my idea for her to open the shop." The steward left in a hurry. I looked up at Pei Yuheng's gentle, smiling face. "Were you telling the truth just now? Most men dislike women showing themselves in public. Merchants have a low status. This may not be good for you. Wife, does opening the shop make you happy? Business isn't great right now, but I am happy because I have something to look forward to." "Then how could something that brings my wife joy not be a good thing?" I suddenly stared at him, dazed. His eyes were full of affection. But we'd only been together for a little over a month. Could I be mistaken?
9.
I didn't return directly to the residence with Pei Yuheng. He led me to the silk shop to order custom clothes. I don't lack clothes. Why spend more money? Pei Yuheng smiled warmly, like spring sunshine. "My lady, you are exceptionally talented. Making more clothes is not a waste. In a few days, the emperor will host a banquet for this year's top scholars, and he specifically instructed that their families attend." His eyes gently fixed on me. "Will my lady honor us with her presence?" Carefully, Pei Yuheng probed. "Of course, Lu Yun and his newlywed wife will also attend. If my lady feels uneasy, I'm naturally not afraid. Half a month ago, Lu Yun married Lu Rumian. He was the one who betrayed me, not the other way around. Why should I be afraid?" I pointed to the most expensive cloud brocade on the table and told the shopkeeper, "These 2 pieces, make them the best you can." 10 days later, Pei Yuheng brought me to the palace for the banquet. Men and women were seated separately. Before taking our seats, the female guests gathered in the side hall to exchange greetings. Inside, many whispered and pointed at me. None of it was kind. They said I behaved disgracefully and was overreaching by marrying the top scholar. What kind of top scholar's wife is she? I heard she opened a rouge shop on East Street, shouting her wares to the street, losing all her dignity. Luckily, your Lu didn't marry her. Pei's official career might be blocked because of this. Lu Rumian smiled sweetly but with sharp needles hidden inside, gently consoling. "Don't say that. After all, she's the daughter of the Grand Tutor." "Rumian, you're so kind. Even the Grand Tutor doesn't want to recognize her as his daughter, yet you defend her." Rustling laughter reached my ears. I pretended not to hear. A nanny came to announce it was time to take our seats. As we entered the main hall, we passed a long corridor. On both sides of the corridor, various porcelain vases were displayed on shelves. I heard these were the Empress's most treasured items. Just as we neared the main hall, two women suddenly surged from behind, pinning me in the middle. Each bumped into me. I glared fiercely. They were the same women who had just been talking with Lu Rumian. Luckily, I kept my balance and steadied myself. Suddenly, a force pushed from behind, and I, along with the porcelain vases on the shelf, crashed to the ground. Broken porcelain shards cut my hand, blood flowing freely. Everyone turned to look. What's going on? Lu Yun was the first to come forward. Lu Rumian's voice was soft like a cat's whisper. Just now, Madame Pei broke one of the Empress's vases.
10.
I stood up, holding my bleeding hand, angrily saying, "You're lying. You bumped into me on purpose to frame me." Lu Rumian's eyes reddened, and she hid in Lu Yun's embrace. No, it's not like that. Lu Yun comforted his wife and coldly said to me, "Lan Si, I know you hate me, but you don't need to make things difficult for my wife. Our past is behind us. You should let go." Let go? Have you paid back my mother's silver? And you tell me to let go? One of the women who bumped me sneered, "What a street merchant. Do you have a receipt? Let Luda pay the money back." Lu Rumian cried even harder in Lu Yun's arms. "It's all my fault. I'm the one who can't forget you," making her jealous. "If Madame Pei's actions can calm her, I don't mind suffering a little." Lu Lang let it go. "How can we just let it go? What if the Empress blames us later? The Empress can blame me." Pei Yuhing strode over, wearing a brocade white robe, looking like a fallen immortal. I was about to speak, but he shook his head, signaling me to stay silent. "Please ask Madame Lu to apologize to my wife."
What?
"Pei, don't you want to know the whole story?" Pei Yuheng's gaze was sharp as he looked at Lu Yun. "No need. I believe my wife. She wouldn't lie." "Luda, you grew up with her. Does she ever tell lies?" Lu Yun remained silent, only comforting his delicate wife. "There are so many people here. I don't believe they all saw my wife break the Empress's vase deliberately. If anyone is so sure, I invite them to come before His Majesty. You can't lie to the Emperor. Lying is treason." Everyone fell silent. Lu Rumian gently tugged Lu Yun's sleeve. "Lu Lang, let it go." 11. "No, it can't be let go." Pei Yuhun looked at Lu Rumian and said clearly, "Please ask Madame Lu to apologize to my wife. You bumped into her and caused her injury." Lu Yun gritted his teeth. "Don't go too far." Lu Rumian raised her hand to stop him. "Yes, it was my fault. I'm sorry, Madame Pei." The nanny urged, "The banquet is starting. Everyone, please take your seats." The crowd moved into the inner hall. Pei Yuheng held my hand and said to the nanny, "Please inform the staff that my wife is injured. We will not attend the banquet. Also, my wife accidentally broke a vase. If the Empress asks, please. It's just a vase." Peita protected his wife, and the Empress saw everything. "Don't worry, she already knows the truth and sent me to resolve this. Take Madame Pei to the Imperial Hospital to have her wound dressed." "Thank you, Nanny." Returning from the hospital, night had fallen. After dinner, I was already tired. Lying lazily on the bed, I said to Pei Yuheng, "Accompanying you to the palace was more exhausting than tending the shop all day. My lady has worked hard. The Empress, I don't have a good reputation in the capital. Why would she help me?" Pei Yuheng smiled softly for a moment. "She didn't get to be Empress by relying on others' gossip. The harem is full of intrigue, no less than the previous dynasty." "That's true. After all, she is the Empress." Just as I finished speaking, a faint wooden fragrance filled the air. His arm wrapped around me and he kissed my cheek. Pei Yuheng's eyes were full of tenderness. "You've truly suffered today, my lady. If your hand can't exert strength, let me serve you well." A suffocating sensation pressed down. It felt like everything around me was fading away. Pei Yuheng was like a different person when no one else was around. My hand lazily rested on the pillow as he bent down to kiss my lips. Quietly, I reached under the pillow and touched the divorce papers I had hidden there for days. For a long time, it seemed my hair carried a scent. My thoughts wandered. I need to find a chance to talk to him about the divorce. Otherwise, this will never end. It's just too exhausting.
12.
Business at the shop was slow. Nianxiu had newly crafted several kinds of rouge, and I came up with an idea to pack them into small brocade boxes and give them out to customers as free samples. For a while, the shop's popularity improved quite a bit. In high spirits, I personally went to the market to pick out a chicken, planning to cook soy sauce chicken for Pei Yuheng. When I returned to the Pei residence, everything was in chaos. Soldiers had surrounded the estate, blocking all exits. What's going on? Where is Pei Yuheng? The leading officer said, Lord Pei has been arrested for stealing valuable rare books from the Hanlin Academy's library and selling them for personal profit. He is currently locked in the Imperial Dungeon. I am here under orders to search the Pei residence. Madam, please do not interfere. That can't be true. He would never do such a thing. We will investigate thoroughly to find out the truth of whether Lord Pei did this. Sir, an official pointed toward the study. I followed them inside. Behind the bookshelf was an open secret compartment containing a stack of books. Judging by their exquisite binding, they must be quite valuable. It was like thunder striking the ground out of nowhere. The officer said to me, "The evidence is overwhelming. The Emperor has spared your family from punishment, but madam, please take care of yourself." After the officials left, I took a deep breath and tried to calm my thoughts. Pei Yuheng would never commit such a crime. If he were corrupt, how could he live in this modest square courtyard? He had helped me many times. This time, I would help him clear his name. 13. I ran to the government office to beat the complaint drum, hoping to visit Pei Yuheng in prison. By chance, I met Lu Yun there. I beat the drum while he stood silently beside me, watching. The drumstick was heavy, and after a few strikes, I was exhausted. Lu Yun's face was cold and stern as he said to me, "Lan Ci, we know each other. I advise you to go back and dissolve your marriage with Pei Yuheng as soon as possible. Recently, several rare books have gone missing from the Hanlin Academy, and the Emperor is taking this matter very seriously. Pei Yuheng will not escape the death penalty." I snorted coldly, mocking him. "Do you think everyone is as ungrateful as you? You and my husband studied together at the Six Arts Academy in the capital. His guilt hasn't even been established, yet you already blame him. If you don't want to help, then don't discuss me." Lu Yun seemed frozen, then struggled to say, "Your husband? Blaming him? Lan Ci, look at what you're saying. After all these years, you haven't changed, still rude and unbearable." I glared at him and hissed softly, "Get lost." Picking up the drumstick again, I continued beating the drum, but still no one paid attention. At this point, only one person could help me. I had no choice but to enter the Heelan household. Since my grandmother fell ill and my stepmother repeatedly blocked my visits, it had been a long time since I'd come to the Heelan residence. I knew knocking on the door directly wouldn't get me in. So I waited for my father to return from court, and the moment his official sedan chair arrived, I rushed forward. "Father." He looked at me with disdain, then glanced around quietly and said, "Come inside, we'll talk." My father cared deeply about appearances. He must have known why I came. Family disgrace must not be spread outside. He would let me in. Once inside, before I could speak, he interrupted me. "I know what you want to say. For now, the best course is to quickly sever ties with Pei Yuheng to avoid dragging the Heelan family into trouble. I've already arranged this for you. Divorce him quickly and return to your childhood estate. You must never come back to the capital." Every word he spoke was exactly what I expected, but my heart still ached. I knelt before him with a thud. "Father, this is my last plea. Please help me arrange to see Pei Yuheng in the dungeon just once. After that, I swear I will have nothing more to do with the Heelan family." He angrily waved his sleeve and shouted, "Fine, fine. I gave you a way out, but you won't take it. Then go take your own doomed path." I signed a father-daughter affidavit. My father arranged for me to visit Pei Yuheng in the imperial dungeon. He looked haggard, and his hair was messy, scattered over his shoulders. When he saw me, his eyes reddened. My heart tightened painfully. Pei Yuheng, you're innocent, aren't you? Do you believe me, madam? I believe you without condition, just like you believed me at the palace banquet. Madam, can you do as I say? All right, tell me. My eyes blurred with tears. You hide that divorce paper under your pillow. One day, have someone bring it to me, and I will sign it. His voice was heavy and restrained, and my heart ached as if breaking. You knew all along? Yes, I knew. Then why? Because I have loved you for a long time, and I just couldn't let go. Pei Yuheng's face was pale. His eyes held a light, which suddenly went out. How could that be? Wasn't the day of my wedding to Lu Yun the first time we met? He was about to speak when a prison guard interrupted. Madam Pei, it's time. We won't be able to explain if you're late. I looked steadily at Pei Yuheng.
Don't worry.
I will never divorce you. 14. These past few days, I tried every way to help Pei Yuheng clear his name, but with no progress. I was anxious and desperate. Today, I plan to go to the drum complaint office to beat the drum and request a reinvestigation of the case. Chun Tao stopped me. Miss, have you thought it through? After beating the drum, you must first receive 20 strokes of the cane before you can submit your petition for a retrial. 20 strokes, that will leave you bruised and battered. I had thought it through carefully. I promised Pei Yuheng I would do this, and I meant to keep my word. Chun Tao helped me lay out the official paper on the desk. I bit my finger and wrote the petition with my own blood as ink. I didn't know many characters. In the past, Lu Yun tried to teach me, but he was always impatient. He mocked me for being slow-witted. I was so angry I stomped my foot. Then Lu Yun would soothe me with words. He said, Lon Ci, you only need to know how to write your own name. I'll take care of everything else. He never truly taught me, but despised me for my crudeness. Unlike his wife, Lu Rumian, who could recite poems and converse with him elegantly. Now, all these tightly packed characters were taught to me by Pei Yuheng after marriage, as he held my hand and taught me stroke by stroke. He was genuinely a good man and would never do anything illegal. The only time Pei Yuheng ever stepped out of line was for me. At dawn, I went to the drum complaint office to beat the drum. The magistrate, austere and cold, asked, Do you know the rules? Yes, I'm not afraid. For my husband, I fear nothing. He smiled faintly and ordered the cane to be brought. I lay over the bench, and the first stroke was about to land on my skin. Suddenly, someone shouted from the crowd, Stop. A man in official robes gasped, His Majesty has already investigated and confirmed that Lord Pei is not involved in the book-selling scandal. Sister-in-law, please return home quickly. Lord Pei will be back soon. Overwhelmed, I jumped up from the bench, crying and sniffling as I ran home. 15. I pushed open the courtyard gate, and there stood Pei Yuheng in the yard. He turned around when he heard the door open, and I threw myself into his arms without hesitation. Pei Yuheng stiffened for a moment, but then wrapped me tightly in his arms. A rush of emotion overwhelmed me, and I broke down crying, releasing all the worries and fears I had held inside for days. He gently patted my back. It's all my fault. Tonight, I'll properly admit my mistakes to you, my lady. I looked up, our eyes meeting. There was deep affection in his gaze, mixed with intense desire. That's when I realized what he meant by admitting his mistake. I punched his chest playfully, with a sobbing scold. Pei Yuheng, you lecher. He made a shushing gesture. Not far off, a deep male voice sounded. My dear minister, this courtyard is far too shabby. I will grant you a proper mansion on a suitable day. I straightened up and looked toward the man in the dark yellow robe. My legs went weak, and I knelt down. Your humble servant and wife pays respects to your majesty. The emperor smiled kindly. Please rise quickly, Madam Pei. Your husband has done great service for me, and I want to reward him properly. The empress speaks highly of you, and I should also reward you. What would you like? I shyly glanced at Pei Yuheng. He also knelt down. Your Majesty, I have a request. My wife and I have never formally held a wedding ceremony, so she has suffered much controversy here in the capital. It has been unfair to her. I humbly ask Your Majesty to grant us a formal marriage so we can hold a proper ceremony. My dear Minister, that is a fine idea. It is approved. Thank you, Your Majesty. After the Emperor left, I grabbed Pei Yuheng's arm, teeth clenched, and said, You wanted a divorce, didn't you? Then why ask the Emperor for a formal marriage? Pei Yuheng, don't think you can get away with this. I had 1,000 questions burning inside me and ordered him not to go to sleep without explaining everything clearly.
16.
Inside the room, candlelight flickered and the hibiscus canopy was warm. Pei Yuheng and I knelt facing each other on the bed. He tried to pull me into his arms, but I pulled out a ruler from under the pillow and threatened, I'll ask one question. You answer one question. No lies. Okay. I sat upright and said, You said you had long admired me, but I don't remember where we first met? Pei Yuheng looked at me with a hurt expression, his voice trembling as if about to cry. My lady, have you really forgotten me? Last spring, did you see a shabby scholar on the outskirts of the capital? I narrowed my eyes and thought carefully. Last spring, my grandmother took me back to the He estate. As we neared the city, our carriage suddenly stopped. The coachman said a beggar was asking for alms by the roadside. Suddenly, a clear, bright male voice rang out from outside the carriage. I am not a beggar. I am a scholar on my way to the capital exams. I was robbed by bandits, and all my money was stolen. Could a kind benefactor lend me some silver so I can take the exam? I will repay you double once I pass. My grandmother was impatient. Probably a fraud. Don't bother. Every year before the spring exams, there are always scammers like this. Wait, I begged her. What if he is telling the truth? Grandmother, you can just think of it as your granddaughter lending you money, okay? Grandmother took her purse from her waist and handed it to me. I got out of the carriage and gave the purse to him. That day, his face was filthy, barely recognizable. Suddenly, I realized, so it was you. Indeed. I asked, when did you recognize me? Early on. How early? I pressed. Pei Yuheng's kiss interrupted me. My lady, I know I was wrong. I'll admit my mistake. Tonight, let's go to bed first, okay? He was playful and clingy, and soon we collapsed onto the bed together. His kisses made my limbs weak. I surrendered quickly. 17. The next day, the government posted an announcement. The faction of the Grand Secretariat at the Hanlon Academy had been stealing and privately selling rare books for years. Their crimes were unforgivable. All their families were confiscated and exiled to Lingnan. Pei Yuheng said that when he took office, he discovered many books in the library were copies, suspecting theft. The Hanlon Academy was heavily guarded, so the theft had to be from insiders. He secretly reported the matter to the emperor, who ordered him to assist the court of justice in investigating. But the case was complex and far-reaching. Pei Yuheng came up with a plan to cut off the root cause, make the real mastermind believe they were safe, while secretly conducting a thorough investigation to catch all involved and restore order. I asked him, why did you think of this plan? When people are at their most arrogant, they often reveal their mistakes. He looked sly. I pretended to be angry, but I suffered so much injustice. You don't know how I lost sleep over this. Please forgive me, my lady, but if I hadn't done this, how could you have seen my true feelings? He leaned close and whispered, Tonight, I'll admit my mistake properly. I pinched my sore waist and pushed him away. No need. I forgive you. The emperor's decree for our marriage came quickly, along with a 3-courtyard mansion and 100 acres of good farmland. News of Pei Yuheng and me spread throughout the capital. This time, all the talk was good, praising our talents and beauty, a perfect match, a golden union. Even my rouge shop's business improved. Those officials' wives who once looked down on me now scrambled to buy from my shop. I didn't begrudge the money, especially not from those 2 women who had helped bully me before. They picked the best rouge and powder, but I marked up the prices by multiples. When they heard the prices, they were embarrassed. The young lady just now bought the same thing for 10 taels. Why are we paying 50? I rolled my eyes. Too expensive?
You don't have to buy it.
We don't force anyone here. They smiled ingratiatingly. No, we want to buy, we really do. All the extra money I gave to Chun Tao to donate to the orphanage. So no grudges would arise in the future.
18.
Today I had some free time, so I planned to close the shop early and take care of the marriage matters. Just as the door was about to close, Lu Yun showed up. He had grown a beard, looking 10 years older, utterly dull and lifeless. I heard his official career had hit a dead end, so he resigned, and on top of that, he and Lu Rumen were having trouble too. His home was in complete chaos. I didn't intend to pay him any attention, but as soon as he stepped forward, he shoved a small wooden box into my hands. Lon Ci, tap it once. This is your money back. I cleared my throat and emphasized, it's not for me. It's to return to my mother. Yes, to your mother. He looked like he wanted to say more but hesitated. I asked calmly if there was something else. Lu Yun said, Lon Ci, do you really want to entrust the rest of your life to Pei Yuheng? He's not a good man, you know? Forcing you to acknowledge a concubine before the family. That was all his doing. Before he could finish, a figure stepped between us. Pei Yuheng's voice was colder than ever. If Lord Lu has more to say it to me directly. Don't bother my wife. You. Lu Yun tried to step forward. Pei Yuheng clearly had no patience. Leave. Want me to accuse you again before His Majesty? Just like when I was imprisoned and you accused me. My heart tightened. Was that really true? Seeing the situation was bad, Lu Yun turned and left. I crossed my arms, leaned against the doorframe, and stared straight at Pei Yuheng. You seem to be hiding something from me again. Not surprisingly, my wooden ruler finally came in handy. Pei Yuheng's palms were red, and he gave me a pitiful, puppy-like look. Madam, I was wrong. This time he really was. I never imagined Lord Pei could be so calculating. Back when we studied at the Six Arts Guild, he had already begun weaving his net. Pei Yuheng looked innocent. Back then, Lu Yun complained every day that his fiancée was coarse and terrible. I wondered how bad she could be, so when you delivered something to him, I hid behind the door to watch. After recognizing you, I realized Lu Yun was blind to true gems. Later, when he ranked third in the imperial exams, he secretly met with Lu Rumen behind your back. How could I just watch you jump into the fire? I raised the ruler high, furious. So you told him a story about a fierce woman from Jiangnan whose fiancé wanted to take a courtesan as a concubine, using the trick of recognizing a concubine in front of the family, right? Yes, madam. Please be gentle. Did you ever think what would have happened if I had signed that concubine recognition? I was so angry my face turned red. You wouldn't. What if I did? I'd kidnap you back. He smiled slyly. I kicked him hard twice. You rogue. He seized the chance to pin me down. It's all because I love you, Helan Ci. I love you. That's why he set the whole trap for me. 19. Our wedding banquet was modest, which I was quite pleased with. Last month, Pei Yuheng had a court physician treat my grandmother's illness, and she recovered well. She was the only elder we needed to pay respects to. When I went to the He residence to pick her up, my father politely called my name. I replied respectfully, Master He. My eldest brother repeatedly failed the imperial exams. My father pulled many strings just to get him an assignment far from home. My eldest sister married well into a marquis's household, but her mother-in-law was cruel and her husband unfaithful. My stepmother was overwhelmed and also fell ill. After a lifetime of scheming, my father's fate ended like this. He was heartbroken and petitioned the emperor for honorable retirement. I helped my grandmother out, while my stepmother wailed continuously in the yard. Father said her illness was serious. I casually suggested, why not send her to the countryside to recuperate? The air is fresh, and the people are more cheerful. Soon enough, Father sent my stepmother to the countryside. I secretly smiled to myself. The hardships my mother endured, the stepmother should endure as well. Lost in thought, I didn't notice when Pei Yuhing entered. The flickering candlelight cast shadows as Pei Yuhing kissed my lips gently and intermittently. He softly asked, "Madam, why do you like staying in my study lately?" My ears flushed red. I pretended to be serious. Of course, to learn business. His hand slowly moved downward, doubting. "Oh?
Are you really learning that?
What else?" Pei Yuhing's lips brushed against my ear. "Then why are the erotic paintings on the innermost shelf of my bookcase so worn?" Before I could answer, he pressed fiercely against my lips. "What do you want to learn, madam?" "I'll teach you." I teased. "You're really good at this." He grabbed my hand, pressing it against his firm chest. "Then you teach me."